The psychology of money. Why no one is crazy. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see someone literally setting a stack of $100 bills on fire. You'd think they were a total psychopath, right? Well, when it comes to the global economy, millions of people are doing the financial equivalent of that every single day. And the wildest part is, to them, it makes perfect sense. Welcome to the reality of Chapter 1 of the Psychology of Money. Before you judge your neighbor for their insane investment choices, you have to realize one thing. No one is actually crazy. We all come from different worlds, raised by different parents, earning different paychecks, and surviving totally different economies. Because our boots-on-the-ground experiences vary so much, what looks like a total disaster to you might actually feel like a perfectly logical move to someone else. The core issue is that your personal experience with money represents maybe 0% of what's actually happened in the world. But for you, that tiny sliver makes up about 80% of how you think the world works. We aren't robots running a simulation. We are emotional beings driven by memories and fear. Take John F. Kennedy, for example. He was a brilliant man, but he didn't really get the Great Depression until he read about it at Harvard because his family was incredibly wealthy while the rest of the country was starving. He had the data, but he didn't have the emotional scars. Spreadsheets can model a market crash, but they can't model the feeling of coming home, looking at your kids, and wondering if you've made a mistake that will ruin their lives. A lot of what we call financial wisdom is actually just the luck of when and where you were born. If you were a teenager in 1970, the S&P 500 increased almost tenfold by the time you hit your 30s. You probably think the stock market is a wealth-generating machine. But if you were born in 1950, the market basically went nowhere during those same young, impressionable years. Neither person is smarter than the other. They are just reflecting the reality they actually saw with their own eyes. The same logic applies to inflation. If you grew up in the late 60s and 70s, you remember gas lines and paychecks that felt smaller every week because prices tripled. To you, inflation is a monster under the bed. But if you were born in 1990, inflation has been so low for most of your life that it's probably never even crossed your mind. We love to think we make decisions based on objective goals, but the data shows that individual investors' willingness to bear risk depends almost entirely on their personal history rather than their education or intelligence. Ultimately, the lesson is that no amount of studying or open-mindedness can genuinely recreate the power of fear and uncertainty. We are all victims, in different ways, to the truth that some lessons have to be experienced before they can be understood. So the next time you're about to call someone's financial plan insane, take a second to realize they are just playing a different game based on a different set of life experiences. We've all only seen a tiny slice of reality, and in the world of money, everyone is just doing what makes sense to them based on the specific world they've survived.